In part 5, we discuss the environment you're in and the importance of feeling safe in your environment. We look at the threats that autistic experience that mean we feel more unsafe than we should. And we look at tantrums and why they aren't a manipulative behaviour, but instead are an expression of feeling really unsafe. And why trying to extinguish tantrums builds an unsafe environment and removes a protector at an age when a protector is essential for survival, and how this can impact our behaviours negatively and our well-being long term. Finally, we look at the importance of autonomy and why attention-seeking behaviour isn't a negative thing to be trained out of. The most important thing to stop Panic Monkey and Dino Brain constantly disrupting, or worse, taking over completely, is by creating a sense of safety. When we are in a safe environment, then our Panic Monkey can relax and he can sit back and let the air traffic controller do their thing. Our anxiety and stress levels drop, and then we're able to process at our best. Our sensory profile will then move towards the centre. The highs aren't so extreme and we can start to pick up our low signals, especially if we focus. Our ability to do what we do best, create connections, increases exponentially because there's a lot less cross-wiring and short-circuiting caused by stress. And a lot of our actions as autistics are focused on gaining and maintaining that safe zone. Growing up, these are some of the key threats in our environment. These threaten our survival as children and are very likely to get Panic Monkey and Dino Brain involved. One of the big key needs of autistics is autonomy. It gives us our ability to control our environment, which plays massively into our sense of safety. Even if we don't consciously know why we want to do something a certain way, our brain has chosen it because it thinks it's the safest route for us. But society tells us, no, the parent must be the boss. And it can feel really uncomfortable to go against that and allow autonomy for our young people. And I'm not talking about allowing them to do things that are harmful to themselves or others, but more about the little things that are more about social convention than anything else. Often in forums, parents ask, how can you tell the difference between a tantrum and a meltdown? As if the two require different responses. Punishing the tantrum and providing understanding and support for a meltdown. Because behaviourism teaches us that tantrums are emotional manipulation, a way to win and defy parental dominance, and so it must be stopped. The thing is, behaviourism ignores the science, because manipulation is a learned skill. It needs a strong theory of mind. And research in child development has shown that even the basics of these skills don't start occurring until around 6 or 7 and don't fully develop until our early 20s. What you have in a tantrum is a scared human being who's lost their route to safety and is flooded with emotion. They start out with a safe route to meet a survival need, such as a cookie for energy. Panic Monkey says, I need this thing to survive. If we don't get it, we'll die. But it's okay, because the adults will give us the thing that keeps us safe. Now, we as adults know that the child is already safe. Lunch is soon, they don't need that cookie right now. And we don't want to teach bad habits. So we say no. After all, to be a good parent, it's important to keep boundaries, to not spoil our children, right? It's important not to give in. But when we say no, the child has lost their safe route. So two things happen simultaneously. First, our brain goes into hyperdrive, trying to figure out if A, there's a better way to say, I need this, because clearly the first one wasn't understood. B, is there any other possible safe route I can switch to? Otherwise, I'm going to die. So the air traffic controller is far too busy to deal with Panic Monkey, who's now running around and screaming, we're going to die, we're going to die, we're going to die, and is calling in Dino Brain to help rescue us. In small children, Dino Brain usually opts for flood and starts pumping in chemicals to trigger a strong emotional response. It knows we're primed as adults to respond to a crying baby and meet its needs. It's a way for their Dino Brain to talk directly to your Dino Brain. Now, if the parent says yes, before Dino Brain takes charge, then the crisis is averted, the safe route's restored and it all goes back to normal. If the parent distracts by offering another safe route that Panic Monkey knows will meet the need, then the safe route's returned. It's different, but still safe. All goes back to normal. But if it's something that Panic Monkey isn't sure about or doesn't meet the same need as the original request, then it isn't a safe route. It's the same as saying no. And if the parent says no, then the threat remains, and Dino Brain ups the emotional chemicals and a full flood will begin to happen. If the parent leaves before Dino Brain is fully committed to flood, well, then there's no hero to call to help from. So Dino Brain will switch to flop to conserve energy. This allows the air traffic controller to reset and look for other safe routes instead. And if it keeps happening, our air traffic controller notes that this person can't be trusted to keep us safe and look after our survival needs, that we need to find other ways to survive by ourselves. We learn that there's no point in asking for help, or help is transactional. We must please the adult to get our needs met. Dino Brain switches from flood to fawn as a protective mechanism. If I please this person and make them happy, maybe they'll protect me in return. The child starts to constantly seek reassurance, constantly looking for confirmation their protector is happy and so willing to defend them. We need to recognise that tantrums are exactly the same autonomic protective response that we see from sensory or processing overloads. They're caused by a loss of a survival need, a route to safety. And by meeting the need, even if you don't meet the demand, as a parent, you restore that route to safety. Knowing and addressing the cause is so important when dealing with Panic Monkey and Dino Brain. Not having autonomy often feels really unsafe, and feeling unsafe can scale up our need for control. It can become a need to control everything about our environment in order to reduce risk and uncertainty. It can become PDA, a pervasive drive for autonomy, where even demands from ourselves, things we want to do, are seen as threats by our brain and refused. It can cause controlling behaviour, where you try to dictate or manipulate the actions and responses of everyone around you. It can cause OCD, where your brain decides specific rituals will protect you from certain disaster, and then decides that not doing those things will cause the disaster. Our need for safety can also result in attention seeking. Now, I don't understand why society has decided attention seeking is a bad thing, because it's an essential survival mechanism. It's a need for connection with others. As a species, we're all interdependent on each other. We don't do well solo. As a child, you're reliant on others for your survival needs. You're out in the wilderness on your own, and you're going to starve to death or get eaten by predators. If your protectors aren't paying attention, you could easily end up a Scooby snack for the saber-toothed tiger that Panic Monkey knows for certain is just around the corner. Especially when you're doing something that makes you vulnerable, like sleeping. That 50th glass of water that night, that's them checking their protector is still paying attention. Stopping attention seeking by planned ignoring will certainly teach the child not to ask, to stop seeking connection with you, because they've learnt you're not a protector. You aren't a safe person, that they're on their own with only luck and hope to keep them safe. And so many parents have no idea at all that that's what they're teaching their child when they do this. It's this need for connection that makes approval such a powerful weapon for behaviourists. Remove approval, you remove connection and all the safety and security that comes with that. And that's why rewards work. They provide physical proof of approval. And that's why they shouldn't be used. They're a threat disguised as a promise. Because if you don't comply, the reward is gone, the connection is lost and you're in danger. Autonomy, connection and approval are core to our sense of safety. Without them, anxiety bubbles permanently under the surface. But it's also important to consider the elements of speed when our nervous system is overloaded, because this also puts us under threat. Creating that safe environment by meeting sensory and processing needs will be covered in weeks 2 and 3 of our speed course. Other ways to create safety and security and help build the skills to develop autonomy and independence in more healthy ways will be covered in week 5 of our speed course. You will learn to identify unhealthy environments and find ways to protect against them, and you'll learn how to create a healthy home environment so that no matter what happens outside, There will always be a safe zone to return to. If you're interested in learning more, check it out at www.insideout.com.